Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to The Chosen Chronicles. FTW's hottest podcast and its host Connell Gardner is about to take you behind the scenes of the FTW's biggest stars. Get ready, listeners, because here he is, FTW's chosen one seed PG himself, Connell Gardner. 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fourth ever episode of The Chosen Chronicles. Today, I have a man on the show that, has been a big part of FTW over the last wee while. He's been a big part of my career, especially over the last month. He's a former FTW World Champion. He's an inaugural FTW Tag Team Champion with Chuck Diesel. He's a former Alliance Champion with the Unpredictable Era. Multiple time champion in other prediction leagues, but unfortunately he's held nothing mainstream like FTW or FSB. The person himself has won 2 GameStop Super Smash Bros. Tournaments and got second place in the Ultimate Release tournament of the same game. The man is just legendary, especially in chess. He's a master and whatever else. My guest today is one of the leaders of the 7S movement and one of the leaders of the Unpredictable Era. My guest today is DC Richardson, better known to you as Christopher Ravencroft. DC, nice of you to join me.
Hey man, how you doing?
Not too bad. How you keeping?
Doing good.
That's good to hear. So, I'd like to think, and I don't want to be big-headed here, that you've listened to previous episodes of the pod.
Yeah.
You know sort of what way we work. So to get the ball rolling, how did it come about that DC Richardson ended up in leagues or ended up in FTW?
As far as doing predictions is concerned, I've been doing it for about 4 years. I want to say. I mean, I think it's 4 years. It's been pretty much just like online stuff and maybe hanging out with friends and whatnot. We'd always like place little bets and stuff on pay-per-view outcomes. And then it like kind of developed into us like writing little shoot promos on each other and whatnot. So, I mean, I've always done promo work, but never the caliber that FTW requires.
So obviously you've always been a fan then, if that's been the aspect of it.
Absolutely.
So going into that, were you like, I know I spoke to a few people and some people have said that they've went to maybe the younger age group where they're 5, 6, watched it with their father, their grandfather, even the mother in some cases, or was it a sort of thing where you got to high school and one of your friends had saw it and went, "Oh, DC, look at this"?
I think I've been watching wrestling since I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. My mom had told me like when I was younger, around 3 or 4, I'd watch it some with my granddad, but after he passed away, it's like I didn't really watch but so much of it. And then like one night I was flipping through channels and WCW was on, and pretty much has always been like I was watching WCW up until middle school and 6th grade. It was pretty much like you said, like friends coming up talking about wrestling and stuff. And the funny thing is, like, I went to school the next day and I thought they were talking about WCW stuff. I didn't even know WWF at the time even existed. So I'm sitting there trying to talk with them about Sting and Goldberg and stuff like that, and they're like, "Who?" We're talking about Stone Cold, and we're talking about The Rock,
Chris Jericho.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, actually, I think at the time, it was right before Jericho jumped over to WWF. So, I mean, it was. I've had the privilege to grow up through a whole lot of these, like the Monday Night Wars and whatnot. Seeing Jericho debut and The Radicals showing up night one, all that stuff. That was always good TV. It was good TV then. I mean, we got some good stuff now to a degree, but it's usually outside of WWE.
Yeah, see that's was one of my questions was gonna be, especially on the current product. But bunching back a wee bit, you said that the majority of the stuff that you watched back in the day was WCW. You didn't realize WWF existed. So that makes it look to me like obviously you're gonna be more of a WCW fan. But when you
Uh,
look back at some of the WWF stuff, how does it compare to both companies? Which one would you look at and be like, yeah, that's my side? Or are you one of these guys that is a fan of the product rather than the company?
I mean, at the time, WCW was it was pretty good. It was before the NWO pretty much took over WCW. Before we had the different variations of it and everything. Like growing up watching it and comparing both products, WWF was always more well managed, I'd say. I mean, as far as, I mean, you had your people playing politics. I mean, we know the stories with Triple H and DX and whatnot, but I mean, it was more rampant in WCW. I mean, you had Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and whoever else, Eric Bischoff. And I mean, a lot of that, I feel like it was, they felt like they were the bigger names, the bigger guys. So I feel like they had good intentions behind it, but it was poorly executed.
Do you think to an extent that they're bringing that back in the form of AEW? Because I know there's been a lot of chat around FTW, especially in group chats and whatever else that we're all in, where Cody in recent weeks has been recent months has been putting himself over quite a bit rather than letting some of the young talent go through or go
Yeah.
over on him. Do you feel like AEW could fall into that spiral, considering the level of talent, especially with the Young Bucks and Cody apparently falling out and whatever else? Do you think that maybe AEW could slip into that, or are they too well managed?
Honestly, I try not to compare AEW to WCW. If I compared an organization to WCW, it would be I'd probably say it would be TNA. Not Impact now, but TNA. Because I mean, at the time you had Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett was putting himself over a lot of people, and I mean, like he put over AJ Styles and maybe Raven every now and then, or Rhino. But I mean, ultimately, I really feel like TNA, before it became more popular, well, actually after it became more popular, once they brought in Bischoff and Hogan, I mean, that it was pretty much WCW all over again. And then I've heard different stories about what's her name?
Dixie?
Yeah, Dixie. She was a very, very party. She enjoyed being with the guys in the back. And I mean, I don't necessarily think it was anything necessarily derogatory about it. I just think that she really she's a female Tony Khan, because Tony Khan likes to be with the guys too.
And I think Vince was like that back in the day, with Rocky and with Austin. But as he's got older, I think it's been more where Hunter's been in that locker room, Shane's been there, Steph's been around, and he's took more of the business end.
I mean, that's one thing. That's one thing that honestly that I kind of wish they do is just let Hunter now have a little bit more control, because he knows what he's doing. I mean, you can look at,
saw that with NXT.
NXT is the perfect example. And I mean, he's building multiple brands of NXT UK. I mean, I don't watch NXT UK a lot, but I mean, when I have a chance to, I mean, I'm usually blown away by it. So
most of the guys on that show as well are the guys. Well, obviously, everybody knows that I'm from the UK scene and I've been around. Most of the guys that are on that have been grafting for the last 15, 20 years in ring, and I've been around our local scene that I grew up sort of going to shows and watching.
Yeah,
So he's doing it the right way, and we sort of saw with Samoa Joe the last couple of weeks being released. Everybody was so shocked. Hunter going, no, fuck this. I brought him in.
exactly.
I'm bringing him back, and I want him on my
Exactly.
show.
I mean, like, I feel like he did the same thing with Finn Balor. Like when he was out, I mean, he sees how talented Finn Balor is, and I mean the list goes on. I mean, it's not limited to Joe and Balor. I mean, you have them, but I mean, I feel like he tried to do the exact same thing with Aleister Black, but Vince was so hell bent on punishing him for something that honestly he might have backed because I mean that's his wife.
Yeah, with
But
Zelina.
yeah, but I don't think that I don't agree with uh the punishment system that WWE has. Just because
Uh,
your spouse does something doesn't necessarily mean that you should be outright punished. I mean, Lana went through it.
yeah, but at the end of the day, I hate being down on her, but Lana's Lana.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, she wasn't going to go much further than that anyway. Honestly, that was one of the times where them trying to bury her uh didn't work out in their favor. It
yeah,
got her over.
it was a bit like Kurt Hawkins as well in that aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
They done that whole
They
thing where
lose
they
the
were
feud.
burying him and Zack Ryder, and then they split them up, and then he ended up going through that losing streak, and he made mad money on merch.
Yeah, I mean Zack Ryder. Uh, honestly, I look at Zack when he was in WWE, and I hated the fact that he held the U.S. title for a hot minute, and then the Intercontinental Championship all of one day. And I mean, I really felt like the man deserved a little bit more. Yeah, he got the tag titles, but Zack's a real talented guy, and I mean, I really feel like they missed the boat with him.
And I
It's
feel
a
like
couple
they've shown that quite a bit with the work he's done outside of WWE, especially with the recent stuff,
yeah,
and turning up the shows, getting big pops and stuff like that. But
right,
if I can transition this back a wee bit, back
yeah,
towards why we're all here, where did Christopher Ravencroft come from? Is he DC or is he just something completely made up?
uh, Chris Ravencroft. There's subtle hints of me, the smart assness of Chris Ravencroft. That is 100% me. But the character, in my spare time, I like to write, and Christopher is my middle name, so I took Chris off of that. Ravencroft actually came from when I was younger. I was watching, I think it was Scooby Doo and the Witch's Ghost, and there was a character in there, Ben Ravencroft, I believe, and the moment I heard Ravencroft, I was just like, man, like I love that name. So uh, when I was doing some writing, I created a character named Christopher Ravencroft. Uh, obviously not a wrestler, but
Mm.
but Chris Ravencroft is actually the mentality as far as his heel persona is actually based off of another character in that same story, Noah Albright, and he's just an over the top villain. Uh, I take sprinkles of different characters from like various video games, and I try to manipulate and twist and put my own spin on them, like Kefka from Final Fantasy, Sephiroth Final Fantasy. It's different little things, but yeah, Chris Ravencroft is a character that's steadily evolving. Like there, I can't really say that he's going to be one thing it is right now. I mean,
Yeah, I get you because I think I'm at that stage now with the Chosen One, especially in the last with this whole 7S build up, and I
yeah,
went from coming into FTW as the guy that was gonna wreck the place, the guy that was gonna destroy the
Oh yeah,
company, that
I remember.
the dead ass heel.
Yeah,
And
we've
then
had
as
like one match together. Oh man,
crazy.
I think I think when you were coming in, I had just turned heel, and like I got the win over you, but I mean it wasn't anything that was easy by any stretch of the imagination, and it was just a one off thing, and at the time I was going against the UE and everything, trying to get that world title shot, and I mean it's been a ride, I tell you, like
Yeah,
it's
and
hard to imagine.
but it's been tough because that's what I said. Like when we're talking about the adapting of the characters, where everywhere I've been so far, I've been that dead ass heel where I've hated everybody, screamed for championship opportunities,
Right,
not getting them, going crazy. Where with this whole 7S stuff is we're playing you as the villain,
right.
and it's like I'm trying to play that face but stay heel, sort of something like that
Yeah,
50-50 character.
it's difficult because honestly, when I first got here, I was babyface, and like I enjoyed it. I enjoy anything wrestling, but it was I felt like Roman Reigns being put out in front of everyone and being forced to be a certain type of way, which I'm not being forced to be a babyface. I mean, we got complete creative control over our characters, but at the time, it's like I really wanted to try to push this underdog babyface because this is my first prediction league that to this caliber,
Yeah,
and honestly, just being able being able to do this, and then it's just like I was in a slump. Like I win a match, lose a match, win a match, lose a match, then lose another match, and going back to the drawing board, it's like, what am I doing wrong? And it was just like I wasn't feeling the character. So I decided, I was like, yeah, we're gonna start going a darker route with him. And then at TLC of last year, it was like, yeah, heel turn.
and it's I think everybody will agree with me when we're listening to this. I got to be a bit tongue tied there. I hope you heard that so you can laugh at me. But
Yeah, you did.
I think that's sort of been the best thing that happened to you because potentially the storyline of the year has now happened
Yeah.
and has all been built up to. Where did the 7S stuff come from?
Honestly, uh, honestly, it came from a dream. I know that sounds corny, but I woke up one morning and I had like, I mean, I'm always processing different storylines. Like wrestling is like constantly, like it's that in writing constantly. There's one idea and then another idea, then another idea. But then honestly, the 7S thing, it started off me wanting to do the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse. Like I wanted to kind of blend like the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse with the Weapon X storyline from X-Men. And then I'm just like, you know, what would be really cool is doing a Seven Sins type thing. And it was a gradual working process because honestly, what I want for the 7S storyline is to get a lot of people over. And honestly, I really feel like a lot of people have gotten over in this process, not just myself, but everybody involved.
Yeah, I think there's been quite a few of us that have been in there, like especially me and Haywood.
Yeah,
Obviously Byron's been in there as Trey, but
yeah,
then instead of it just being us four and Tyson Holly being in there too, there's been the aspect of my Punishers coming in, and
yes.
then the Broken Prince coming in and helping, and there's been that extra characters that have come in and tried to help,
Yeah,
which again we've worked to put them over instead of it just being us four all the time.
exactly. Because I mean, honestly, a perfect example of that is high voltage. High voltage got a lot. I mean, they're still getting a lot of time to display how talented they are. I mean, I'm big fans of the guys. Like honestly, big fans of everybody involved. I mean, it's a humbling experience. Honestly, that's how Colt Youngblood, Brad got into FTW. I told him about the 7S storyline, and I needed somebody to be Sloth, and he's just like, I'll do it, and that's how he came over.
And that's
And
fantastic for us because people are watching.
Yeah.
And it's one of them things that when we do stuff, like that was my biggest fear when I went to do this and when I went to step in and try and get the likes of you guys on board with it, talking to Byron. The biggest thing I think that me and him looked at was, will people listen?
Yeah, and, I mean, I think people do, because I mean, it's an opportunity to be ourselves. I mean, there's tidbits about us in our characters, but honestly, being able to be exposed, I guess, I think it's a good opportunity, because I mean, the person I am versus the Ravencroft character, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm not abducting anybody or running crazy experiments.
I'd like, yeah, and I'll bring that into the Chosen One too, being with the whole devilish Tina Davella story.
Right.
Hopefully, if I get the Filipino Beast on very soon, that I can apologize for, and maybe apologize to Tina herself for everything that we've done. But this is what I enjoy, is the fact that DC and Connell never would have probably got to talk. If it hadn't been for FTW, we never would have met. Obviously, we were on opposite sides of the world, but at the same time, it's nice to sort of sit down and have that chat with everybody instead of it just us. The only time we contact each other is if I want Ravencroft to attack me or me to attack Ravencroft or to do a story. So you told me earlier on, and I've mentioned it a very slight bit in the introduction because there's so much in it.
Right.
You've mentioned sort of playing chess, playing Super Smash Bros. And different card games throughout your life.
Yeah.
As well as I heard a story about maybe a merchandise in there. So do you want to give me some of the behind the scenes aspects of DC from a gaming and merchandise standpoint?
Gaming wise, like I've slowed down some in gaming. I mean, I'm always on Smash. I'm a Super Smash Brothers diehard. I will see anybody that's listening or watching. I will see anybody. Give me the friend code, and I'll play you online. I don't care. Like I'm a very competitive person. Chess. I've actually started playing chess again. I had stopped playing after high school because I mean I did a little bit of college, and then my mom had gotten sick, so I sacrificed my college time to make sure that she was taken care of. I mean, she's better than what she was at the time, so I mean, I felt like that was the right decision at the time. And I mean, chess is just it was something. A funny story. Like in high school, I got into chess to spend time with my girlfriend at the time, and it was my English teacher that was running the chess club, and she took us to a chess tournament. And I'd only played chess maybe 5 or 6 times, and I think I went 3-2 out of the day. And I actually, my last round, I played like one guy that was like really, really competitive. He was just there. He had brought his grandson with him, and we played the last round, and I actually almost beat him. And he's just like, yeah, you really need to keep doing this. I can see a lot of potential in you. And I mean, I wish I should have listened, but I mean, I just figured chess was just something that I was playing for fun. I didn't want to make a profession out of it, or
Yeah, but then obviously other circumstances within your life came and took over.
Yeah,
So
of course.
in my eyes, and obviously I'm not in that sort of situation, but in my eyes, I would have done the exact same thing as you did.
Yeah,
Family always comes first at the end of the day.
absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
we've learned that with the group, just being like, look, that if anybody is sick or if we're not ourselves, we can text everybody and be like, look, I'll be back, but I've got to sort this first, and
Yep.
we'll get undying support from everybody.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I really love about FTW is the fact that we are a family. Like in every semblance of the word, we are a family. And we we might have our disagreements, but I mean that's what being a family is. It's good
Exactly, we all have our ups and downs, but at the end of the day, we all become friends again, and we all sit and talk.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
And I think the best point of that, sorry, just before we go back,
Yeah, you're good. You're
with
good.
the FTW being a family was with the whole Greg Hartless stuff.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's a perfect example right there.
Greg, for those that are listening and didn't know, was an athlete, I'll say, because he's inactive at the minute. Called Gregory Hartless, always clever, and his son had took sick, and everybody, Greg had asked everybody to sort of send videos, and what we had done was we had organized something that I would create a package of most of the FTW videos, and we'll send it to him all in one go. And I swear
Right.
we had about 15, 20 minutes of footage,
Yeah, I
15-second videos from everybody just sending to Greg and wishing him the very best and whatever else.
it was beautiful. That's what I like to see is a group of people. Like I mean, we're living our day-to-day lives, but we took that time to contribute to something that was bigger than us. And I mean, I that's one thing that like if nothing else, like I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be in FTW just for that.
Yeah, I love the family feel and knowing
Yeah,
that I can contact you guys, because obviously you are 5 hours behind me. So
yeah,
where I am right now, it's nearly 20 past 12 at night.
right.
So I can contact you guys any time of the day or night and know I'll get a response. Um, but yeah, I think it's just fantastic. So if you want to continue on with what we were chatting about
Yeah,
before with the
yeah.
gaming and the merchandise.
Right. Merchandise wise, still piecing stuff together. I mean, I've seen some stuff that you put together for me, so I mean, it's you do great work. I'm working on a reality of Ravencroft shirt. I'm working on a FO. Well, yeah, no, it's FAFO. There we go. Gotta say it right. Gotta say it right.
Hmm.
But
Gotta plug it. Gotta plug it.
right. Uh, I'm considering. I'm probably gonna do a little bit more after the 7S. Of course I'm gonna work on the 7S. Some 7S merchandise, and I mean, might see if not just Pride, but do the rest of the guys too, just to see like how well that stuff actually, how interested people would be. I mean, uh, outside of that, depending on the road Ravencroft goes down, we could see like a redemption story of Ravencroft. I don't know how that would be because Ravencroft has done a lot of things. So we'll
A lot of
see.
things to a lot of people. That brings me
Right.
on. I've got to ask you in character for 2 seconds.
All right.
Kenny,
Kenny.
my mate Kenny, what happened?
Wrong place, wrong time, talking to the wrong people.
Oh, if anything came out of that as a storyline that everybody remembers, the when we all found out that Kenny died, and I can
Yeah.
just remember everybody commenting under the South Park memes of, "Oh my God, you killed
Yes.
Kenny!"
I swear
And
it was like we got like it's not even a real person. If it was a real person, they would have been shot straight to the moon. Like God.
Oh, you know, that's actually just made me have a T-shirt idea. Like, oh my God, he killed Kenny.
Yeah, I mean may as well.
But yeah, it was like Kenny wasn't even a real person,
Right,
character
right.
like us, and Kenny
Yeah.
was more over than any single one of us in that
Anybody.
storyline.
It just took the one promo, and Kenny is a made man.
Oh,
We have to
fantastic!
figure, we have to figure out how to
Absolutely.
revive Kenny.
We'll find it somehow. But
Oh man.
well, I'm really hoping so. Maybe we don't have to revive him. Maybe you just didn't finish the job.
Right. We've
But
seen people die, and
oh
and
yeah. So
man.
going back, right, we're gonna look at this as an FTW standpoint. Who would you say are some of your favorites when you see stuff in the group, if you have any? If not, you don't have the answer. But
Uh,
wait, do you see anybody and just be like, "Oh, I know this is gonna be gold because it's a certain person," or do you look forward to a certain person post?
honestly, I look forward to seeing everybody posting, because honestly, when more people are posting, not the same names, when I see somebody new, I want to just, okay, like, cool, let me go through this, let me read through it. Like Sean John, he typically doesn't post out a lot of stuff, but I mean, I was entertained by what he put out the other night.
It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. Courtney, her and Raheem have been putting together a nice little program with each other, and I very much have enjoyed reading the stuff that they've been putting out. Like my go-to people, like, I know, like when Haywood posts something, I know it's going to be good. When you post something, I know it's going to be good. Byron, whenever he posts, I know it's going to be good. Like, honestly, it's gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, I know you guys I'll scroll past your stuff just to see if I can find somebody else. Like, okay, you guys have had your turn, let me go see if somebody else has done anything, and then I'll circle back and be like, all right, well, nobody posted anything today, so let me.
Yeah,
And
and
that's always
I think that's the best bit about FTW though, is because everybody is posting such high quality stuff, and we're looking at it. And I went through a bit of a like before 7S and maybe at the start of 7S, I went through a little bit of a creative dip
right.
where I find it kind of hard to get motivation. And once the 7S stuff popped up, and me and Haywood did the video promos and did whatever, and I found out Zoom is a platform that I could work off, it gave
Right.
me that whole new lease of life. And watching some of the Mad King stuff, it
Yeah,
just like it made me step up my game by watching you guys,
absolutely. Like
and I think it was just fantastic.
that was one of the things, like, going back to, like, the early months of FTW, like, like I said earlier, I was floundering around some, and then Draven at the time had the briefcase, the Money in the Bank briefcase, and I just I was like, you know what, I want the briefcase, I want an opportunity to show that I'm better than what I'm putting out, because I mean, it would be a couple of points sometimes, or just not looking at, sometimes it's like, you'll look at the match choices with a match card, and you look at it from a booking point of view rather than a logical point of view, because I mean, it's WWE, they're going to push who they want to push, but then it's like, ooh, well, if this person wins, they could go here, and then I'm lost for the next 2 hours, and then I'm having a message Byron like, hey, when exactly did you say the cutoff was?
Yeah,
So
and that's the way I look at it, because obviously we all have that creative mind. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this. But
yeah,
I try and think of the matchups as like, who would I want to win?
right.
And especially with Impact, that I find this the hardest to do would be like, what is the most illogical thing that could ever happen here?
I mean, it's with Impact. I think I found my stride with Impact, because I was struggling with Impact at first, and because I had stopped watching it, because after the shenanigans with TNA, it was just like, you know what, I don't want to give you guys another chance. Uh, but they have actually been putting out better matches. somewhat better storylines. So I mean, Impact's been more interesting, but the booking is still kind of questionable.
Hmm.
It'll like Rich Swann as a champion. I mean, we saw it coming, but him beating Moose.
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest thing in Impact at the minute. I keep calling it TNA. I'm always going to call it TNA because of
Yeah,
what I'm used to it.
I mean, yeah, same here. Like I've been I'm making myself say it. There we go.
Yeah,
Stumbling over words. It's like I'm trying to make sure that I call it Impact rather than TNA, because TNA was a whole other
shit
thing.
show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on this pod, we've been going through and we've been talking about the Ravencroft character,
Right.
your personal life with the game and whatever else, and sort of what you enjoy doing. So for the last couple minutes, you text me and you said, I'll quote you on this if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
On a message when I asked you for some of your accolades so I could do my background work on you,
Right.
you text me saying the biggest accolade is being a father. Nothing really tops that. And I think that is probably the one thing that I can just look at you and just be like, that is probably the most. I think any father would say it, but you saying that to me to add in like as an accolade. Most
Right.
people, when I asked for that, they sent me their championship reigns and that was it.
Right.
But you sent that through to me, shows me how proud you are. So if you want,
Absolutely.
just you can give your kids a shout out, or you can sort of just say what being a parent means to DC.
Being a parent, being a father, it's a struggle. I mean, it's a struggle, but I mean, it's something that I will do every single day, and that no matter how hard it gets, that's what I want to be. Like growing up, I didn't have a father. I didn't meet my dad until I was 26, 27. So I mean, it was like I knew he existed. And I even had a stepdad for a couple years until him and my mom divorced. So I mean, pretty much my entire life, I didn't have like too much of a positive male figure in my life, and I told myself every step of the way, yeah.
I think, yeah, just muted there for the last wee bit, but if you want to continue on, go ahead.
So I mean, like honestly, it's just when I found out about my son, because my mom and well, I'm sorry, Jesus, his mom and I are not together, but we co-parent. And I mean, honestly, that's one of the best things that you can possibly do, if it's possible, is to be able to. I'm sorry,
Sorry,
going in, yeah, getting the phone call, but is one of the best things that you can do, is being able to provide that structure, that positivity in the family. Just to
and
show.
if you don't mind me saying this,
Yeah.
Because I can see you, but the people that are listening can't. Even in your voice, we can hear it. You were getting sort of very passionate, very emotional about the last sort of statement, saying how much it
Yeah.
does mean when you find out about your son and being that positive father figure, and you know having that mentality just shows how much of a nice guy you actually are, and how much of like. And I'm gonna say this, and there is a few people in the FTW. I'm 19. You
Right.
guys are like, and I'm not being in this in a bad way. You guys are older than me.
Right.
Well,
Right.
most years anyway. You guys treat me like a son in some aspects, and treat me as a friend, and have me in there. So I'm forever grateful for you guys not to be treating me like just this little outsider from Ireland that nobody cares about. You treat me like that sort of guy in here that who's like a son to everybody, and just you do treat me like you've known me for the last 30 years.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what we need to do. I mean, it's just like when you have knowledge, when you have experience and stuff. I mean, it's best to pass on what you know. And I mean, even though like you're 19, I mean, that doesn't take away from the knowledge that you could possess about life or anything else. I mean, I'm 34, going on 35, and I mean, I'll listen to any story anybody has to tell me, because I mean, we don't all live the same life. So, one person's struggle is another person's lesson. That's
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very grateful for you sharing that sort of emotional thing with me on this, because again, most people don't know DC the person, and I'm glad that in a way
yeah.
I got to show how much everything means to you.
I
We've
mean,
been
I
on
really appreciate it.
no, it's honestly my pleasure. So to finish this up, we've been on this for God knows how long now, but maybe about 40 minutes. I know it doesn't feel like it, because it just feels
It
like
really
two friends
doesn't.
talking,
I didn't even notice.
and it's absolutely fantastic that we can provide that atmosphere of us just chatting away and
Right.
talking. Okay. Before we say my famous saying, maybe you don't want to say it because of character and dignity and all that rubbish, but can I ask what's next for both DC and for Ravencroft?
Uh as far as DC, as far as DC is concerned, we got some outside championships that we gotta pursue. As far as Yu-Gi-Oh, and once tournaments and stuff are actually be able to be held in a more public setting, we can actually have more people around because of COVID. We're gonna go for a national championship. That's what we're gonna shoot for. I said it when I was younger. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for like 20 years almost, probably more than that. And I've told myself I'm gonna win me a big tournament one day. As far as Ravencroft is concerned, I know we've been talking about brand splits and different stuff. Don't know where that's gonna land me, but wherever, whether it's Havoc or whether it's Dead X, and Dead X knows that before he became world champion, and congratulations to him, but before he even touched that belt, I told him before he retires, he has to face me in a match. And whether or not it's for the FTW world title, that's up to him.
And you
I'm
know
not.
what? That's brilliant. We'll definitely be looking forward to that. You said something there, and it's been very tight knit, and I have to laugh listening to it, because God knows how much shit we're gonna get into for saying it.
Jesus Christ.
But you know, who cares? It's the Chosen
Yeah,
Chronicles.
I mean,
We say what we want, we do what we want, and if we get cancelled, we say fuck the system and we come straight back anyway.
you and I are the chosen ones in FTW.
So I've ended every podcast with this saying, okay?
Right.
Now, could you remind us of what I meant to say at the end of every FTW broadcast?
Oh, God. Now you're gonna have to remind me.
It's something similar to like May Trey.
Oh, we can't do that. We can't tell him that. But I mean, we can tell the non-believers that Ravencroft is going to become a 2-time FTW world champion soon. They can go fuck themselves.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 4th ever episode of the Chosen Chronicles with my guest, DC Richardson, Christopher Ravencroft. It has been absolutely fantastic. He won't say it as much as I want him to say it. If he wants to say the PG version or the nice version of it, he can say the original, but I'm going to say this has been a pleasure. It's been one of my favorites. It's probably been the longest one we've done. But in a few words, I hope you have a really nice day. Thanks for listening. And may Trey go fuck himself.
Fuck around, find out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure.